الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله نحمده حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه ونثني عليه الخير كله، نشكره ولا نكفره، ونشهد أن لا إله إلا هو، لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، ونصلي ونسلم على أفضل الخلق سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد, welcome to a new episode, dear brothers and sisters. We are discussing the story of Umar Ibn Abdul Azeez. We spent a few episodes discussing this story. In fact, we can spend episodes and episodes in discussing this story, but we have to stop at one point. I hope that either in this episode or in the coming episode we can finish the story of Umar Ibn Abdul Azeez. However, as I said, we can discuss it even for a long period of time. One time, Umar ibn Abdul Azeez wrote to Zayd ibn Abdul Rahman ibn Umar ibn al-Khattab. Zayd ibn Abdul Rahman ibn Umar ibn al-Khattab was the governor of Kufa. He told him, Amma ba'd, you have gathered some money in your hand. I would like you, he gave him the instruction to distribute this money to the army, Jund of Muslimin, the army of Muslims, or the Muslim army. So Zayd wrote to him that I have distributed the money and still a certain amount is left. Then Umar ibn Abdul Azeez wrote back. He said, try to find anyone who has a debt and pay it off. Then Zayd wrote back to Umar ibn Abdul Azeez that I have paid off the debts of the soldiers of Muslims. Then Umar ibn Abdul Azeez said to him, if you have money, if you still have some money, then give it to Ahl al-Dhimmah. Give it to Ahl al-Dhimmah. Ahl al-Dhimmah are the Jews, Christians living under the Islamic State. And as we said, that Zayd ibn Abdul Rahman ibn Umar ibn al-Khattab was the governor of Kufa. And Iraq at that time was one of the Thughur. Thughur means what? Means the country that is in the border of the Islamic State. And next to that country are the enemies of Al-Islam. So he said, we need to fulfill the needs of the people of Ahl al-Dhimma, the Jews and Christians who are living under the Islamic State, because if we suffice them, then they will support us and they will not act as the fifth column. A very wise policy. Here, we are not talking about the basic needs of Ahl al-Dhimma, because that is given from an Islamic perspective. If Ahl al-Dhimma live among the Islamic State, then their needs, their basic needs have to be fulfilled anyway. But Umar ibn Abdul Azeez said, provide them more. After Zayd wrote to him that he has paid off the debt of the Muslim soldiers, Umar ibn Abdul Azeez told him that he has to pay this money to Ahl al-Dhimma to strengthen them and to give them enough provisions other than their basic needs. And that was a wise policy from Umar ibn Abdul Azeez. In fact, brothers and sisters, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz's main policy is to establish justice, to establish social justice in particular, and to have a dialogue with sects that went against the Islamic State. We might mention, or let me mention it now, in fact, that at that time there was a sect known as Al-Khawarij. It started during the time of or after the time of Ali bin Abi Talib radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, and in particular during the time of Muawiyah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. That sect became bigger and bigger. So the Muslims were fighting them, and there was always fight, or there were always fights between Muslims and them. But Umar ibn Abdul Azeez said, let us have another policy. If we have a dialogue with them and we clarify things for them, then this will save the blood of Muslims. And Umar ibn Abdul Azeez started to this, and there were a number of debates, dialogues in fact, that took place between Umar ibn Abdul Azeez and members of this sect, and Umar ibn Abdul Azeez was successful in bringing them back to the mainstream Islam, and many of them announced their tawbah, that they have repented during the time of Umar ibn Abdul Azeez. See, this is again a very profound policy in dealing with the opponents within the Islamic State. Normally, the Muslim rulers or the rulers, they would prefer a solution based on what? Based a military solution, in fact. And they don't go for soft solutions. They don't go for dialogues and discussions. They don't go for even educating people. They like, out of arrogance maybe, they like to use military solutions most of the time. And Umar ibn Abdul Azeez was setting an example that there are some other solutions. Anyway, Umar ibn Abdul Azeez, in that letter to Zayd, he said to him, he instructed him to give the money to the rest of the money to Ahl al-Dhimma in that area, to strengthen them so they will never act as a fifth column. This means that Umar ibn Abdul Azeez he used to strengthen the Muslim state, the Islamic state internally. He was not just fighting externally and forgetting about the internal affairs of the Muslim state and strengthen it internally. This was his policy. In fact, they said that Umar ibn Abdul Aziz at that time was more concerned about the social stability of the Islamic State rather than opening new non-Muslim countries or conquering other lands. That was his policy. Umar ibn Abdul Aziz once, rahimahullah ta'ala wa radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, wrote a letter talking about the way he dealt with Ahl al-Dhimma. From one side we said that he was fulfilling their needs, and he wrote to Zayd to give them more. But on the other side, once he wrote a letter explaining how Ahl al-Dhimma should dress. He noticed that Ahl al-Dhimma in certain areas, they are dressing in a way that does not distinguish them from Muslims. And his book is known and explained now in details, the book of Umar ibn Abdul Azeez to Ahl al-Dhimma, or regarding the way Ahl al-Dhimma should be treated and should conduct themselves within the Islamic State. And he said that they should wear clothes different from Muslims in order for them to be distinguished from Muslims. This is the fuqaha, the scholars, took this book and they discussed it in details. In fact, Ibn al-Qayyim wrote his long book, Ahkam Ahl al-Dhimma, mainly explaining the book of Umar ibn Abdul Azeez to Ahl al-Dhimma, or regarding Ahl al-Dhimma. Umar ibn Abdul Azeez once was sitting in his house, and a lady knocked on the door and came. That lady came from Al-Basra, and she came to Umar ibn Abdul Azeez to the house of the Khalifa, and she noticed that it is just a normal house. It is not a palace as the ex-amirs or ex-khalifas used to have, which means that Umar ibn Abdul Azeez established an open door policy. Anyone from the subjects of the Muslim state can visit him, can come to him, can talk to him directly. He doesn't need to meet so many ministers in order to meet him, or in order to present a case of injustice that took place against him. So he maintained that policy. Here we might say that it might not be logistically possible for many leaders now to establish such policy, but at least they should have a policy where Muslims can talk to them, their subjects can talk to them whenever they want, or can communicate with them, or can refer matters to them. That lady came to Umar ibn Abdul Azeez and she said, where is Amir al-Mu'mineen? Then Amir al-Mu'mineen came. In one narration, that lady sat with Fatima, the wife of Umar ibn Abdul Azeez. Umar ibn Abdul Azeez, at that time, he came to Fatima and he was having a bucket of water to fix the wall. So he was fixing the wall and he was looking at Fatima. The lady was sitting next to Fatima. She said to Fatima, this man, she thought that he is just a builder fixing the wall. So she said, why don't you have hijab from that builder? He is looking at you. Then Fatima told this lady, he is Amir al-Mu'mineen. She said, what? He is Amir al-Mu'mineen? Is this Amir al-Mu'mineen? Then she started to talk to him. In one narration, that lady came and sat. Then Umar ibn Abdul Azeez had some grapes, and he was taking from the grapes and he was offering it to her. We have to stop here for a break. Let us stop, inshallah, and we will continue the story after the break. Stay with us. Assalamu alaikum.
Ask Hoda.
If you're still in Mecca or close by to Mecca, then you have to know that you are still in the state of ihram. As long as it is not for sale, then he does not have to pay zakah for it. Forbade praying witr similar to Maghrib prayer. So whoever prays witr 3 rak'ahs and sitting after the second rak'ah as if he's praying Maghrib prayer, this is forbidden, this is haram. Euthanasia is permissible with animals but not with human beings. If an animal is suffering, killing an animal for a legitimate reason is permissible. Both are acceptable, but the majority say that after the ruku' is the place of qunut. But both was reported.
Have a question or concern on your mind? Hoda TV decided, based on popular demand, we will be bringing you an additional episode of Ask Hoda with Sheikh Asim bin Luqman Al-Hakim live from Jeddah, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, brothers and sisters. So we said that a lady came to Umar ibn Abdul Azeez. In one narration, that this lady came and sat with Fatima, the wife of Umar ibn Abdul Azeez, and Umar ibn Abdul Azeez came and he was fixing the wall. So Fatima, the lady, didn't know that this was Umar ibn Abdul Azeez. Anyway, we mentioned this story. Then Umar ibn Abdul Azeez sat close to her and he was offering her some grapes. She was eating, and then he said to her, where are you from? Why are you coming? She said that she was coming from Basra. And she said to him, I have 5 daughters. They are kussal kussad. Kussal kussad means they don't work and they have not married. And I am devastated now. I need help and support for them. So Umar ibn Abdul Azeez again cried. And then he took the pen and paper to write about this. Umar ibn Abdul Azeez established what is known now as the social welfare system. The best social welfare system. In fact, there was a letter that he sent to some governors. And he said, look at those who are not working. Look at those who have debts, provided that the debts were taken because of lawful matters and not because of second marriage. Look at for those who are in need and give them from what? From Mal al-Muslimin, from the wealth of Muslims, from the treasurer. So that was like a social system. Many people think that the social welfare system is established in Western non-Muslim countries, and the Muslim countries, because now they don't know anything about the welfare system or the social security services, they think that Muslims don't know about this. And Umar ibn Abdul Azeez established a social welfare system for the subjects of his country or the Islamic State, including Ahl al-Dhimma, as we have said. So Umar ibn Abdul Azeez started to write, and he said, Bismillah, from Umar ibn Abdul Azeez to so and so, the governor of Al-Basra, where she came from. He said, the first daughter should be given this. And he asked her, what is the name of the first daughter? She told him this. So he gave a certain amount for the first daughter. Then she said, Alhamdulillah. The lady said, Alhamdulillah. Then he said, what is the name of the second daughter? Then she told him. Then he said, for the second daughter, this amount. And the third daughter, she told him the name, and then Umar ibn Abdul Azeez gave her or appointed something for her. The lady, the mother, said, Alhamdulillah. Then the fourth daughter as well, and the lady responded by saying, Alhamdulillah. Then, the fourth daughter, when Umar ibn Abdul Azeez gave her something, the mother said, thank for you. Then Umar ibn Abdul Azeez looked at her, and he said to her, you were thanking Allah Jalla wa Ala, the one who deserves thanking. You were thanking the one who deserves thanking. I don't deserve it. I just distribute the money. As you thanked, or as you put your thank for someone who doesn't deserve it, then that's it. When you were thanking Allah Jalla wa Ala, you were given provision. When you thanked the creation of Allah Jalla wa Ala, the provision has stopped. And he said to her, let the four sisters take from their u'tiyat, from the appointed money that has been given to them, and give the fifth one, so they will share it equally. So the lady went to the governor of Basra, and she was very happy. Anyway, when she arrived to Basra and she took the letter to the governor of Basra, he looked at the letter and he read, and he started to weep and cry. She said, what happened? He said to her, don't you know that the one who wrote this letter has just passed away? Then he said, Wallahi, we wouldn't break an instruction that has been given us from this righteous person. And he gave her the money or the wages that have been assigned to her by Umar ibn Abdul Azeez. This is the kind of personality we are talking about. One of his companions said, I was talking to him about something related to the Muslim affairs, and the light went off. So Umar ibn Abdul Azeez went to fix it. So he said, oh, Amir al-Mu'mineen, why don't you tell us? We could have fixed it for you. Umar ibn Abdul Azeez said, Subhanallah, I went to fix it as Umar, and I came back as Umar. Nothing has changed. What's wrong with this? In fact, there was another story that a person visited Umar ibn Abdul Azeez, and he said another person came, and there was a servant of Umar ibn Abdul Azeez. By Allah, we failed to distinguish from Umar ibn Abdul Azeez and the servant. The new person who came, and he didn't know who was Umar ibn Abdul Azeez, he was unable to distinguish between Umar ibn Abdul Azeez as his servant, because Umar ibn Abdul Azeez was serving the servant. Umar ibn Abdul Azeez was serving the servant. In fact, there was another amazing story. Umar ibn Abdul Azeez once came a little bit late for Jum'ah. You know, the Khalifas at that time, they were giving the Jum'ah sermons, and he was late. So people told him, why are you late? He said, by Allah, and he explained why he was late. I had one thobe only, one garment only, and it became dirty, I washed it myself and I wanted to dry, and I was waiting for it to dry, and when it became dry, I wore it and I came to you. He had one garment only, one garment. In fact, another amazing story as well, Maslama Ibn Abdul Malik said that he visited his sister Fatima, the wife of Umar Ibn Abdul Azeez, and he noticed that Umar Ibn Abdul Azeez does not have clean clothes at that time. His clothes were not clean. So he said to his sister, why don't you take care of your husband? Clean his clothes, clean his garment. She said, oh, you don't know of our situation after Umar ibn Abdul Azeez became in charge of Muslims. By Allah, he doesn't have any garment other than this. And if I was to take it to clean it, he will stay almost naked. Who was this? Umar ibn Abdul Azeez, the leader of an empire. It's not just a small city, it's not just the Islamic State, the whole Islamic empire. And they said that at that time, the Muslim state is the peninsula, the Arab peninsula, most of Asham, most of Iraq, Asham, Syria, Palestine, Lebanon, including until the borders of Turkey, and most of Iraq, some parts of Khorasan, which is known as Iran now, and many parts or almost most of Africa, Northern Africa. That was the Islamic empire, which means that the Islamic empire at that time was almost equal to the land of all Muslim countries now, all or at least all Arab countries now. And he had just one garment, and if it becomes dirty, he doesn't have another garment. Subhanallah. I'm not asking the kings now to have this, but we are setting this example to at least to know how can they conduct themselves. Maybe we are not asking them to have one suit or one garment or 2 or 10, but many of them, they don't mind having thousands of suits and garments. They don't mind in ripping off people's money in order to what? To live luxurious life. We have seen the ex-president of Tunisia, where he was hiding in his own palace almost $500 million just on cash. These are the leaders that we are talking about, and this is our legacy. Even including non-Muslim leaders now, are they conducting themselves like this? Of course not. We are giving these examples for us to know our legacy and our history and such great personalities. One time Umar ibn Abdul Azeez came to his daughters. They were about to sleep. He visited them, and he noticed that when he came to them, they were closing their mouths. And he said to his wife, why are they closing their mouth? She said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. They had eaten onion. Why? Because they did not have good food to eat. So they were eating onion plus simple bread, and that's why they were just closing their mouths so you don't detect the fragrance of or the smell of onion. Umar ibn Abdul Azeez looked at them and he started to cry, and he told them, oh my daughters, I know that you are living a hard time, but the hard time you are living in will save me from the hellfire. Do you want to live a soft life and I will go to hellfire? Do you want to live a luxurious life now and I will suffer the consequences of this life in the fire of hell? We are coming to the end of this episode. I ask Allah Jalla wa Ala to make us among the people who benefit from what we hear. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.